Thank you, Sheila. Is that what Father revealed to you? Good revelation. Thank you. Yeah, I'm hearing the phrase, let your love shine. So not let your light shine, but let your love shine. How do you let your love shine? I think it's a personal question to each one of us. How do you let your love shine?
And you said that, I felt love is brighter than light.
You know, when I think about that question, how do I let my love shine? It's interesting because things that come to mind and popped into my head are, I let my love shine. I like to give. I like to do things for people. I like to share. And then when I think about how often I do it, not to be condemning or judging, but I don't do it that often as I would like, which is interesting. Never really thought that through before. For me, a big way to let my love shine. I like to give, I like to share, I like to do things for people. I don't feel like I do that much. Interesting. Anybody else care to share? Sheila, go ahead.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
Do you think that you don't give to the level that you would be satisfied, or do you think that you don't give in one form of giving that you would like to give? Because I feel like you're giving us your time. You give happiness, you give joy, you give advice. It doesn't necessarily have to be one form. So is it to the level that you are unsatisfied, or is it to the form that you are unsatisfied?
Such a good question. Such a good question. And there's a combination. As I can say, I do like to give items or things that may cost money, or to give money. I love doing that. And I love sharing and giving in my time. But honestly, you know, there's a reciprocal thing in it. And I'm giving and sharing like this with you guys, or one-on-one. I'm receiving just as much as I'm giving. So yes, I'm giving, but there's no, I want to be careful, but sacrifice, you know, there's usually a little bit of sacrifice in giving, because if we're always giving just out of our abundance, then, you know, is it really, you know, I love to give that way as well. But anyway, without getting too complicated, so there's a reciprocal in what I'm doing now, which kind of offsets the whole idea of giving, because I'm getting just as much, if not more, than I'm giving. And then, yes, you know, I do think of the giving, you know, financially, and I would like to be able to do more of that. So I think that's about 50% of an answer, and the other 50%, I don't know.
But you can only give what you have.
Yeah. Marilee.
But
yeah, as we entered in, I was thinking of the scripture that says, let not your hearts be troubled. Because I've had a very busy day and my heart got troubled. I went to fetch my grandchildren from school, and there was a bit of a confusion, and I went into a bit of a panic when I couldn't find them. And I'm busy. I'm doing a workshop tomorrow morning, very early, because it's someone from another country. And I haven't done a workshop on Zoom yet. So it's new stuff, and I got upset about not finding the children. And I realized, you know, if I am transformed, not making an effort, but transformed to his image, then it would be very different. I would stay in that peace. I would stay in the love, because the peace, the love, the light, it's all similar.
Yeah.
It's a person. It's the person of Jesus. And I'm not in peace. I am, my heart is troubled. And I'm finding it difficult to get out of the troubledness. Yeah.
Can we pause for a second and just all of us do something together that hopefully will help it? And this, you may have your own ways, Marilee, but I know for myself that when I just stop everything and then just ask Father to help me identify what it is that's taking away my peace, that's causing my heart to be troubled. And once I can recognize it and see it, then I begin to just step back away from it in the spirit, just stepping back, just letting go, and being at rest, knowing that all things will work out as they should. I can trust my Father, even though I don't understand the way things are going and why things are going the way they're going. I can trust him. Ultimately, all things are going to work out. Just let go, step back, get away from it, so to speak, and just turn my eyes and focus on Father, focus on Jesus, focus on Holy Spirit. Because there's nothing too big for them to handle. So I'd be curious, Marilee, if that helps at all, or and no is a perfectly good answer.
I'm afraid if I'm honest, it's no.
Okay.
I've spent some time in the turmoil, and I guess it's going to take just some meditation, quiet meditation on my part to actually get out of it. Yeah.
Well, I would, you talked about maybe getting off here early, and this is, don't take this wrong at all, because I would love for you to just stay, but I'm wondering if a better use of your time right now might be to step out and do that meditation to get back into a place of peace.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I agree with that, because I cannot go into sleep like this. And so thank you for being gracious and understanding. And I love all of you.
Yeah. And
I will see you next week.
All right. We love you, Marilee. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you showing up, and this is good just to say hi, everybody. I really can't stay. So
yeah. Bless
you. Love you. Okay. So where's everyone else at? What do you have? What are you getting from Father?
I hope you can hear me.
Go ahead, Liz. I can barely hear you, though.
And now?
That's better, I think.
Okay, great. I'm sorry I'm late. I really wanted to be part of this meeting today, but we had a power blackout. The lights just came back. was happy that it was not too late for me to join. So anywho, when I sort of caught up was when you were asking, what is love? And then you asked, how do we shine your love? And the first impression I got was to smile as I walk. I don't know how many people smile as they walk, but apparently I need to do that. I think it's a bit strange, but yeah, I'm going to try and obey.
And Liz, would I be wrong or right, or just because a snippet of what I experienced while I was in Kenya was I didn't see a lot of people smiling, just in random places out in the marketplace and so forth. Didn't see a lot of people smiling.
No, I don't think we smile unless you're smiling at someone you know. It's very hard to just find someone smiling for no reason. Yeah, that's why I think it's a strange command or assignment.
Well, you've got your assignment. I know that occasionally Father will make me aware, and as I'm out just walking around, just smile at people, because it shifts them. And I'll never forget when I was probably 22, 23, and I was so excited to be, I just converted to God, just accepted Jesus. I was so excited. I was so on fire. And I was walking through what we call a strip mall here, just an outside mall. And I was inside, I was just as happy as could be. And this young guy, probably my age or younger, walks by. He's just got this big old grin on his face. And he says, "Hey, smile, it's a good day." And I'm like, inside, I was so happy, but out the outside, I wasn't showing it. Yeah, smiles make a difference. They really do. John, go ahead. You're muted, John.
So I thought Sheila had her hand up before me, so I was waiting for her. But
yeah, okay.
She took her hand down.
Yeah, I just wanted to tell Liz that I think I saw her on Sunday at a friend's wedding, and I always wanted to tell her that I like it when she smiles. It makes me so happy to see her smile. There's something that happens when she smiles. It makes me very happy. So I think there was some intentionality with the assignment that she was given, because it makes so much sense. Yeah.
That's so good. That's how Adina won me, was her smile. That's what got me. Okay, John, go ahead.
Yeah, when you said that about smiling, it doesn't have to be always smiling at people. You could be smiling at the plants that give you joy. And as a result of that, that'll minister to the plants too. And, situations. I think a smile can change the atmosphere. This, as Sheila said, well, when she saw her smiling, it changed the atmosphere in her mind and heart.
And it does.
So smiling is, I think we all need to smile more.
Well, and it's interesting because, and I'm trying to remember who I was speaking to. It might have been one of you this week. But, just the idea that there are times where I may be, emotionally, I may be a little discouraged. I may be a little down or whatever. I don't get depressed anymore. So I'm very thankful for that. But I might not just be excited and happy about life. And once I'm like, wait a minute, why am I not happy and excited about life? And so literally just putting a smile on my face and kind of sticking my chest out. And I do know who I was talking to, but anyway, just sticking my chest out and smiling changes the atmosphere, and it changes us inwardly as well. And sometimes we have to choose. This is a place of choosing. Sometimes we have to choose, because not always is easy to get our emotions, choose that our emotions would change, but we can generally, maybe not always, but we can generally choose to smile, change, do all the things physically that would indicate that you're happy. And it will absolutely begin to change you on the inside. I guarantee it. I guarantee it. I encourage any of you and all of you to just try it at times. Just try it.
If you know physiology,
Mhm.
apparently it takes more muscles to frown than to smile. So smile is, if you're smiling, it's a sign of rest. And I think that's what draws people to people who smile, because there's a sense of rest there, because even in the physiology, it takes less muscles to smile. So it should be easier to smile than to frown, to walk along.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we always say, well, I'm just relaxing. But it looks like we're frowning.
Well, I tell you, I do wish that when I was relaxed, because when I am relaxed, I look like I'm frowning, and I don't,
Right.
I'm like,
Exactly
and
what I
most
was
people
thinking.
do. Most people
Just
do when
relaxing.
we're relaxed and just not thinking or doing anything either way. If you look at everybody, because I don't know why, I just pay attention to that. It's like when most people are relaxed, they look
Like,
sad.
not,
Yeah. And it's interesting because we have to kind of be engaged with life and thinking about it. And when we do so, smile comes, or, ideally, if, and even when the situations aren't so good, choosing to smile, and get to an appropriate place of joy, even in the midst of our challenges, is, I still believe it's a good thing to do. If you're mourning for something, that may not be the best time to put on a great big happy smile as if you're glad they're gone or something. You don't want to do that, but to just be able to lift your spirits to a point that's appropriate, and just know that eternal life is good. We have an eternity, even though in the moment it may be tough.
it was like yesterday we were golfing, and second last hole was had 100 yards to go. It was a 100-yard shot. And I did the first shot, went into this weed thing, or these reeds. I smiled. And then I hit another one. And so I went into the next weed shot. I smiled. Whoa, well, what the heck? What's going on here? Then the next one, I made a good one and put it on the hole. And I double parred it.
That's good.
A par 3, double par. Well, let's go.
Well, that was my golfing all the time, was always in the weeds, always. I gave it up finally.
Well, I'm not gonna give it up. It's still gonna probably happen, but
Yeah.
I'm never gonna give it up, because it's always, I see it as a place of character building and staying
Oh, yeah.
calm
Oh,
when
yeah.
when things don't go the way you would like it to go, or your score goes up instead of down like you would like it to go.
Yeah.
But there's so much to learn, and it's teaching me coordination. Actually, I think it's healthy for the whole mind and soul to allow yourself to be in a situation where that happens,
Yeah.
and to watch other people, how do they respond.
Well,
And maybe even
some people
with your
take it way too
example,
serious.
with your example, you can help them to, hey, don't take this so serious. Like Mo Norm used to say, when he lost the ball, he said, oh, there's another piece of dirt in your bag. It's just a piece of dirt.
That's good. Martha.
I had a pastor once tell me that my smile lights fires.
Cool.
I
Yeah.
thought, yes. And when you said that Adina won you with her smile, Ken won me with his sense of humor.
Yeah. Yeah. My sense of humor back then, Dina thought I was a jerk. So. So I sometimes don't know how we got together. But it was meant to be. Oh, well, Hadassah and Susan, either of you have anything to share?
This conversation about smiling is really, I really enjoy it because, when John said, well, you can smile to, you don't have to smile to people. To people, you can smile to trees. And I'm thinking, I'm laughing to myself because that's what I do. I don't, I mean, I smile to flowers and plants. I look at them as just this big smile comes to my face. And then I look up and I look at the clouds or this blue sky. I just smile. And it's really healthy. I don't know how to call it. It's very joyful and healthy. And,
Yeah.
and John was saying something about the physiology. And it's like, there is so much, there's a lot of science behind smiling. I know I've read some of that. And as you guys were having this conversation, I'm thinking, yeah, I think I read or I heard somebody say, about smiling, that it releases the stress muscles in your face when you smile. Like when you have this smile like this, it releases stress from your face. And just a little bit of what I remember, listening to this person talk about, how powerful it is to smile. I mean, you guys were talking about it changes the whole atmosphere. It does. I mean, smiling is really, you can call it a frequency that you
Yeah.
release in the room or wherever you are. Let's say you're having a conversation with someone and you smile, like you were telling, sharing your sample Gail, at the mall. It's like, it really is. It really is, it's very dynamic. When we smile, we release good vibes. Let's call him that way. Let's call him that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so I really like that list. So thank you for bringing that up. And yeah, I was just thinking about that.
It's good. Good. Sheila?
Yeah, a merry heart of
Uh,
good like medicine.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sorry, I meant Susan, but Sheila, if you have anything, obviously, please speak up as well.
Yeah, I remember my mum always would say, if you don't think you've got anything to give it, you've always got your smile.
Yeah.
And I always remember that. But I think you're asking, like, how do each of us give love or show love? I think for me, I think undivided attention is something that I like to give people. I particularly think of my nieces, because they're at the age where they're on their gadgets all the time and like in the bedrooms, and I think they appreciate it when I come and just interrupt them and kind of just ask them intentional questions and just sit and chat with them and just like mess around, maybe a bit, kind of silly kind of thing, but just that undivided attention, I think. And then yeah, so that's what came to me. And then I like to serve people as well. I like to help out in any way that like people need something if I can. And then I think giving is something I enjoy as well. I like to get as well, but I like to give in that area as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
Very good. Very good. Thank you, Susan. Anyone else? I'm not sure if I've left anyone else or left anyone out on that.
When we were ascending and you were asking the question of how we show love, I think I'm like Susan. I give, but I give in service. I think that also correlates to love
Mhm.
languages. My
Yeah.
love language is active service. So I tend to give my time and give my services to people. I really like that. But then while we were praying, the Lord was kind of asking me, what else do you do? Like, maybe tell me, because I don't know. And he told me something about how giving words of affirmation to people really helps from time to time. Just loving on people. People need to hear that you're beautiful. You did great today. You are amazing. I'm so proud of you. And
Mm.
slowly by slowly, the Lord was just showing me how I do it all the time. And unnecessarily, I don't really think much about it, but I never really knew the impact that it had. Just telling somebody that they look smart today, they look happy today, you don't look tired at all, you look like you slept your whole 12 hours and you are, doing great. And I really like that because we were raised in a very sarcastic household, in the sense that when somebody is trying to show you love, they really down on you. They boo-boo on your very heavy intentions. Like you may be bringing tea and you've cooked nice tea and you bring it in the house and they're like, you could have done better. That's somebody telling you this tea is great. This tea is amazing. So when you it really took some time before you actually become intentional with the words you say. Even when you were talking about the smiling in Kenya it only comes when you're being sarcastic about something. Unless you've made a serious joke where you've boo-booed on somebody's personality, that's when people start laughing. So it's a very sadistic type and twisted, convoluted way of showing love. But I've noticed most of us actually do it. If I don't make fun of you, then I'm not showing you that I love you. But as God was talking to me, he was telling me, but I don't do that to you. That's why you think it's a joke when I'm telling you that I love you and I care for you and you're
That
beautiful.
is so good.
And I'm like, okay, now that makes sense. That makes so much
Uh-huh.
sense because in our culture, it's supposed to be you look like you have webbed feet in those shoes. But in real sense, they're trying to tell you you look really nice in those shoes. So you have to kind of read in between the lines. So I think the Lord was talking to me and he's telling me, I love you. I think you're a beautiful girl. I think you're special to me. And I'm looking for, oh, but you're whack. Oh, but you're not this. But you're failing in this. But you're still lacking a bit in this. But God is a complete God and his love is complete. There's no in between with the sentence that he says. So I think that was amazing. And I think I'm challenged now to be actually very straightforward with my sentences from now on. When I'm giving a compliment to people in my country, I'm going to really start being intentional about it because
And
something
sincere.
of culture, yeah, and sincere,
Yeah.
and especially that part, because it has really messed the relationship that we have with God, where we think God is also sarcastic as we are. But yeah, so
Mhm.
that was my takeaway.
That's so good, Sheila. And I grew up in a family the same way. I mean, we call it cut downs, we'd always be cutting each other down, in fun, in jest. And part of my family still does a lot of that. And when I go back home, if I'm not careful, I get sucked into it. And I don't really like it. It does make me laugh a lot of times. But here's the thing, especially when I was struggling so badly with depression, that when I had depression and I was in the family environment, and somebody said the wrong thing at the wrong time, a cut down that would have normally been something funny and everybody would laugh at, when you're depressed, you feel like they're laughing at you, not with you. And I would just sink even further and further. And so that alone is a big sign to me that it's not the way to go. It really isn't. So I have refused to do it. I don't do it anymore. On a rare occasion, something might slip out, but for the most part, I know better than to do that, because you catch somebody at the wrong time and it can really spin them downward into something that you never intended. And there's really no reason for it. It's like, let's be sincere. It's also a cover up because we don't really want to show our true heart and what we really feel in a lot of cases. So being
Yeah,
sincere is much more noble, in my opinion.
it really is. Because here we just kind of thought that was the norm. And more often than not, I've been noticing when my siblings do it to our youngest, he's 7. He always comes back to tell me this is what they're saying, this is what they're doing. What they did that was joking came off to him as hurting. And
Yeah.
when he starts crying, they label him as sensitive. So
Yeah.
my brother has gotten to this point where he's scared of showing his emotions. And I feel like this is very timely. I would like to kind of challenge my siblings on the same, to just try and, you know, spread
Yeah.
some nice confetti to everybody. Because once in a while, not even once in a while, every day, we need it. We need our cheerleaders. So yeah.
Exactly. And that is so good. And again, it's important. And I've noticed in healthier families that they don't cut each other down in healthier families. I don't see them cutting each other down. There is a lot more sincerity in healthy families. And that's my opinion. I would love to hear if somebody else has something different.
I didn't answer the question about how I like to show love.
Okay.
I like to show love with time, like the way Susan mentioned, undivided attention. So I absolutely love phone calls. So I will give of my time on phone calls a lot. So yeah, that is one of my absolute favorite ways of showing love on phone calls. And in terms of other families, like my dad, he liked to tease. My mother didn't like being teased. She took everything literal to the point where comedy humor was very hard for her to understand, because usually a joke has layers of meaning, but she took everything literal. So yeah.
And that's Adina and me. So
Yeah.
you can imagine me coming from the family I came from, and then meeting Adina and her family. They didn't do any of that. And so a little challenging.
She takes everything literal.
Oh yeah, and she still does today. But
Oh.
I also don't do so much anymore. I mean, it was so fun for me in the beginning. Again, this is way before my healing and understanding things better, but I so took advantage of her gullibility because she took everything literally. And I would say things that, I know it's a stupid lie. Others know it's a stupid lie. And unfortunately, Adina would take it seriously because she trusted. And so I took advantage of that trust. And so, I look back at it and it's like, wow, how stupid of me. It really was not a smart thing to do. And, I don't do it anymore. But anyway, that's
so interesting that you had the same dynamics that my parents did, because, and I don't know if it ever stopped. Like tomorrow, it's 10 years since my mother died, and my dad died in 2007. And I don't know if he ever stopped like wanting to tease. And she certainly never, ever got to the point where she, because she always took things literal. So, wow. I mean, some of the good things I've gained from her through that is the undivided attention piece. Like when she would talk to you, she was there 100%. So, and that ability to put yourself in other people's shoes, got that from her too, and I think that's a good thing. Maybe not, sometimes not, can go over to codependency, but it's part of being the empath, right? Like that's
Yeah.
why I'm the empath group, because I have that ability to step into other people's shoes. Although I remember when I was 18 saying I can get into other people's heads. And then it took a while to realize I don't belong in other people's heads. So it's a difference, to understand and relate and empathize, to literally, think you can get into their heads. But yeah, I just find that fascinating that you had what my dad had and Adina had what my mom had. Yeah, thanks for sharing that piece of your story. I really enjoyed hearing that.
John, go ahead.
Yeah. I'm more of when I show affection, I'm a hugger. But unfortunately, my wife isn't. So I like to receive hugs. I like to give hugs. And I like touch. And a lot of people don't. So we have to be sensitive. to those people,
Yeah, yeah.
because you could be, that's a tricky thing. And one of the things that we were trained in a church I went to in Vancouver, was our youth leader says, if you're hugging a woman, do it in such a way that, you lean in like this, rather than, boob to boob. So that's the way I hug the opposite sex. I'm just always shocked when they just right into me. But like my wife is just like you were talking. She's the biggest sarcastic person because she grew up in a family. They're sarcastic to each other. And
Yeah.
I didn't take that very well. I don't understand some of the sarcasm that comes from her. And she's like, oh, you take everything too seriously. Da, da, da.
Yeah.
I'm not a literalist, because I understand some of the sayings, because like, they say, well, he's got English humor. It takes a while to figure out English humor. So there's different ways. Like, I like to receive hugs. I like to give hugs. But my wife's love language is doing things for her. If she's mentioned something, she wants something done, I'll do it because I know that ministers loved her.
Yeah. Well, I
Everybody's
think too
different.
that sarcasm, at least in my experience, was just a wall or a facade to guard against being sensitive or being sincere, because nobody knew how in my family. I've had to learn it. And even though I definitely, one of my highest values is touch as well. There was never any hugging in my family. And so, now definitely, there is, and it's good, when we can get out of that, again, sarcasm and skepticism, that they for me are kind of in the same boat. There's not necessarily a good place for either one of them, honestly. They tend to do damage and seldom do any good. You may get a laugh out of it, but you're laughing at someone else's expense.
I had a brother, he's not with us anymore, but I guess he knew that I liked to hug. So whenever I came to greet him, his hand went out like this whole time to say hello. So I wouldn't hug him. He wasn't into male hug.
Yeah.
So I knew right away, oh, Ruben doesn't want to have a hug. He just wants to shake your hand and welcome you. That's how he did it. But before he passed away, a couple of years, he did hug me in his own initiative. So there was a breakthrough there.
Yeah.
I think that because I had some hurts from him, because he was like the oldest one at home when my dad passed away. So he tried to discipline us and was tough. And so some of the things he said, like one of the things he said once to me, he doesn't realize he said it, because I confronted him with it and said that he one time said that I would never make anything. I would never become anything. And it took me years. And when I finally talked to him about it, he said, well, I'm sorry, I don't remember that. That wasn't my intention, or, he didn't realize, people say things when you do something that is stupid or immature or whatever, and then they'll make those statements just like a passing statement, because you did that, you're never going to make anything. Yeah. And that hits to somebody who's sensitive like I am. I mean, that was a big robber of my ability, or like I think dyslexia had something to do with it too, but I never had a career, or if I was sat down and told you all the different jobs I did, I could probably give you 20 different jobs I was worked on in my life as I grew up before I got married. So I was like, well, I got to do something. I do this job,
Yeah.
it hurts my back, and so I have to find something different. So I kind of went from one thing. I got bored with different things a lot easier. So I ended up becoming a man of many trades and master of none. Although I think I am a master of some of them now.
Yeah, that's good. Well, I appreciate this, getting to know one another a little bit more. These are some interesting things we learn about one another, and it's all good. Sheila, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I can't put on my camera anymore. The network is kind of messing up. I have a question. I've noticed something in the stories that you guys have been talking about. One comes from a family where they never had sarcastic comments. Basically, your marriages are comprised of two different people. Does this mean that the Lord eventually brings people from entirely different backgrounds, and then y'all have to suffer into trying to get one another's language? Or what's the deal?
Suffering is a
that
part of life, Sheila.
okay, I think that's my question. Yes.
It's
My
funny.
wife always says, well, you see, God brings opposites together, opposites attract.
That there, and for whatever reason, there seems to be some truth in that. And the way I've looked at it, having been married now for 30 years,
So opposites attract, like,
sorry, go ahead.
sorry?
Opposites
I was
attract.
asking,
My
so
wife is sarcastic and I'm
there were
loving
more
and complimentary, and
so there were more pros and cons when you were picking your spouses.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that go by the idea, and I say a lot, there's actually very few that, have gone through and actually taken the time to list everything out that they want in a spouse. And, there's a lot of people that go throughout life and never find their spouse because they've been so picky about who they want. And yet, even though there's been people that have come along where there's been that chemistry and so forth, but I absolutely believe that not in every case, number one, two people should indicate that there's going to be two different sets of opinions on some things, no matter what. And therefore, you are going to have to work through those. But perhaps you might look at it as the stronger you are, the more opposite of a person you might find. In order to iron sharpening iron, you learn to grow in love. It's life is about relationships. And I know for Adine and I, we both believe very strongly that people are put together, for the purpose of, probably the other person is going to push your buttons, and that grinding is going to happen. Yeah, that grinding is going to happen, and it's going to bring about, challenges that are going to cause you to grow. So, yeah, I think that is a pretty common thing to find, that opposites attract. And those opposites will also collide unless you're learning to love well.
And it would be pretty boring if
Oh
we
my
were the
goodness.
same.
You said, "Oh my goodness, Sheila."
Oh my goodness.
If we were the
That's
same,
not what I thought marriage was. I actually thought when you get married,
Well, I'm
you
glad
all
we could
look
clarify that for you.
when I thought when you get married, you look the same. I don't know. I guess it's because my grandparents were married for so long. They actually look the same. They talk the same. They walk the same. They
That can
started liking
happen.
the same food. So I assumed this is what marriage looks like. You find your twin from another side of the world, and you guys find a routine that works for the both of you. But what I'm hearing here is completely different.
well, maybe when you get really old, you start looking like each other because you're taking each other's DNA in so much with the thoughts and da da da. So people do. I see
Oh,
that too
yeah.
in couples.
Yeah.
The older they are, the longer they've been together, the more they start blending in. Like,
Yeah.
doesn't
It's-
it say that when you get married, you become one flesh?
I have a quick question, really quick, because I just don't know. Liz, are you married? No, okay. I just was curious because I know everybody else and where they're at. I just didn't know if you were married or not. So didn't know if you had anything to contribute to this. And you still may have something to contribute even if you're not married. So any of you can pipe in here. So Martha, go ahead.
Yeah, when you said that you didn't know that people don't usually write down a list, well, in grade 12, we wrote down the list of our ideal mate. I think my list was the longest in the class. And then when you said about people taking long to get married because of that long list, yes, that was true because that was written when I was 17 and 17 plus 17 is 34. And I met Ken when I was 34. So, and then married him just before I turned 36. So, and it's interesting because one of the things on my list was that he would like animals, the future husband. And by the time I married Ken, that wasn't even that important to me, but I still got what I asked for when I was 17. And Ken absolutely loved his dogs and super, super lover of animals. Of course, I'm a super lover of my cat, Zoe here. And yeah, I don't know what else I can share because I mean, yes, in terms of the rubbing, like in the beginning, I think what happens, Sheila, in a marriage, and others who are married can tell me, like with Ken and me, the first year, I'd say we fought a lot. So I think sometimes in the beginning of a marriage, it's like, see, okay, who's going to get their way, right? Because I'm, as you can tell, very opinionated, very, what's very interesting actually is, I have been very controlling, and Ken's mother was very controlling. So Sheila, another thing they say that you often gravitate to people who remind you of what you grew up with, what you were comfortable with. And yes, there's also places where you balance each other, because I've been incredibly impatient. Like that's just who I've been. And Ken, oh my goodness, patient to a fault. Especially where you'd see the differences in our driving. Like I'm literally sometimes a dangerous driver. Like I'll pull in front of a semi and turn off the highway in front of a semi. Like, and I did that in a rental.
Oh my God.
I'm like, how do you do that with a car you haven't even learned how to navigate? You just rented it because my car was from a car accident I had.
It's a rental.
It's
But Ken, like I remember when he, back in the day when he was still driving, he could pull in behind a bus and sit there, and I'm like, pull out, pass the bus. Why are you sitting behind a bus? But God knew I needed a really patient man. And I think, Bill, one of the things you said was about God giving you the right person. Well, yeah, I never had any doubt, like not in 30 years did I ever doubt that Ken was God's will for my life. I mean, to me, that was just always incredibly obvious that was who God wanted in my life to work out the purposes. Of course, I still wish he was still here to continue that, right? But yeah. It was absolutely amazing having those 30 years and I mean, one of the things, like I married him in the beginning because I was 100% convinced it was God's will. But then when you start talking with people and sharing your story, he absolutely hated that because he didn't want the story to be, oh, she married me because it was God's will, right? He thought the story should be, she married me because she was madly, passionately in love with me, right? The thing is, by the time he died, the love was so intense. I don't think anybody could have loved anybody more than I loved him. So I think that's actually even better than, let's say, being madly head over heels in love. And usually that kind of love doesn't last long, so anyway, I could talk
That's good.
about Ken, so I'll mute myself now.
Well, welcome to the new marriage counseling group. And
I think when I finally start dating, you are the first people to know because I've written my list already.
And we
I
should
told the
be.
Lord, I told the Lord there are a few things I'm going to need, and I don't if I I then I understand why we really need to heal, because I don't want to attract somebody that looks like the entire thing that I've seen. I want
That is so
something
true,
new.
Sheila.
Because now I think now it makes sense. Marriage is truly how Christ loved the church, and
Yeah.
if he's able to go through all that, then I'd just like to say congratulations to each and every one of you for sticking it out in your marriages. I'm blown away. You have blown my mind.
Well, Adina and I, we would both tell you that we were very messed up when we met, and I think me even more so. I mean, I didn't have any skeletons in the closet because I'd let them all out. I mean, yeah. Some of you know my background story. If you've listened to any of the interviews that I did, you've heard it before. But anyway, yeah, I definitely was a pretty messed up individual, and getting some healing before we got married was helpful, but I still had a long way to go. And now that I've arrived, I'm teasing. Okay,
Wow.
go ahead, Liz.
First, I must say that I've had a really good laugh. Thank you, Martha, for sharing. And I'm glad, Sheila, you can begin to learn about marriage this early. Even as you're not thinking about getting into it right now, it is good to learn as much as you can. Learn from the guys who are married, and let the Lord deal with you, like deal with your junk, so that by the time you're getting married, you and your spouse, you're ready to do marriage God's way. Now, what I want to share is about what we've been talking about, the sarcasm. I've just realized that I'm very sarcastic, and it just saddens my heart that just listening to you guys and thinking about my nephews and my nieces and how sarcastic I have been with them. I'm like, I thank God for grace. Just today, I had a conversation with my nephew, and I told him I was being sarcastic, and then he says, "You have to tell me when you're being sarcastic."
Say that again.
He told me, "You have to tell me when you're being sarcastic because I don't understand." And I thought that was funny, so I was here laughing, and I'm thinking, how many times has he been hurt?
Yeah.
Because of the things that I have said. But I'm grateful for the blood of Jesus that cleanses us. And yeah, that's one of the things I'm going to work on.
And it's good. I think it is something. Yeah. Because anymore, I'm usually, I don't think I do it often at all anymore, but I try never to make a joke at someone else's expense. My expense, I'm even careful with having a joke at my own expense, because just like me saying, and now that I've arrived, well, the joke is that everybody knows I've not arrived, but at the same time, I'm not putting myself down in that sentence. I'm actually, kind of raising myself up far above where I really am. So, I mean, a little bit of difference in that, I guess. And if anybody else has another opinion, you're welcome to say, but the sarcasm needs to be such, or it needs, for me, I don't want to do anything that's going to put somebody else down, or even myself, because if I'm putting myself down, same thing, I'm actually showing that I'm not loving myself well. So I've had to be, that was the last thing to go, was always putting myself down. And so occasionally I will consciously know that I'm going to make a joke that I know is kind of putting myself down, just to kind of lighten the load or whatever. I've done it on Sunday mornings with Adina and I, I've said things that obviously everybody knows is somewhat of a joke, but I am aware that I don't believe that about myself. But I'm also trying to be careful that, of that very thing. So even when you're joking about yourself, be careful, because you're speaking words, and you need to just know that they apply, or they have effect, put it that way. Go ahead, John.
I was gonna say, like when my wife and I got married, I was 36 and she was 29. So before we got married, while we were engaged, we went to a conference in Seattle, and it was all about love. It was love is a choice. So we decided that we could get married on that basis because love is a choice. We don't have to fall in love to love each other. So every day, love is a choice.
Yeah.
Every moment, love is a choice. And we just choose to love each other.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not because of something that I see in her. It's just because that God loves, he chose to love me.
Yeah.
Irregardless of who I became or was or am. It's his choice to love us unconditionally. So it doesn't matter what we do or say or think, or he still loves us. And that's exactly how we love each other as a couple.
Yeah.
Like we say things that sometimes we say things that are hurting, not intentionally. We don't realize it hurts the other person, but we still love them. We still choose to love.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a choice every day, every moment of the day. That's what I see as unconditional love. Is doesn't matter what she does or says or thinks, I still love her. I don't always agree with her.
Yeah.
And I say so.
Well, and I think everyone kind of talks about the honeymoon stage, where generally, when two people do come together. Now, John, it doesn't sound like it was necessarily the case with you and your wife, but usually there's some chemistry, and you might even call it infatuation.
Oh, there was chemistry.
Where two people are infatuated with one another. And if I knew now if I knew then what I know now, I would be very aware of if I were infatuated with anybody, which I think I got over that with Adina before we got married, which I think is a good thing, to get over the infatuation before you marry somebody, because the infatuation really does blind you, really makes you blind to some of the major flaws that if you weren't infatuated, you might say, oh, okay, never mind. That's probably a deal breaker, And so just to be aware that there's infatuation. I was talking to somebody else too, that in college, I finally got it through my head that, okay, so I might see a very, very attractive looking woman, and that infatuation thing would kick in. But I had, gotten to know enough people and enough women that, no matter how good looking they are, that when you get to know them, they're still a person and they have flaws. And so I realized, okay, I just need to get to know the person, and then that infatuation is just going to go away, because I'm going to realize, oh, you do that, oh. And so that was always one of my goals, just, all right, just get to know them, and then that infatuation is going to go away. Find the flaws because they're there. But get past that infatuation.
If you go in infatuation, that infatuation might not be there the first morning she wakes up.
Yeah.
I think that you were my age when you got married, and your wife was close to my mother's age. So did you guys have any kids?
We had two. And
Right.
when I went to Russia, my uncle there says, how come you only had two kids? I says, well, if I would had any more, my wife would be dead, because she bled. She was placenta previa on both of them, and she had to have a C-section, and she almost bled to death after my son was born. She actually had an out-of-body experience because she had lost so much blood.
Wow.
So I told him, I said, well, and he said, well, God will take care of it.
Well, my
So
mom was
when
29.
that happened, she had her tubes tied. That was the end of it. She didn't want any more kids because she didn't want to have to go through that again,
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
which
understandable.
was wise, I think.
My mom was 29 when she had me. So I have a picture of the two of us flying from Fresno to LA when they were going back to Brazil and I was coming back to Winnipeg, where I'm almost 30 and she's 60. So tomorrow, when it's the 10-year anniversary, I've been debating whether I'll post that one on Facebook because it's one of my favorite pictures of her and me sitting in the plane together when she's double my age.
Wow.
But yeah, so she had me when she was 29 and I'm the oldest of 6.
My daughter posts a
Yeah.
picture of me holding her on every Father's Day.
That's cool. Well, let's, does anybody else have anything? Because I'm thinking, let's go back into the engagement and see now that, because I've enjoyed this. I've enjoyed just talking and getting to know one another. That's going to have to be part of this journey. And I'm seeing this as a pretty, not to scare anybody, but I see it as a pretty long journey together. That becomes a group where we grow in healthiness, we grow in love, and we help one another. So we're going to help Sheila learn how to find a right mate. I say that very lightly because that's always never a given. We all have our choices and journeys. We'll put it that way.
And having chats like this helps us to learn to love well.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're not just loving by what we
come and do
see or
picture.
heard on the screen. We're actually getting to know people,
When the,
where they came from and how they think and believe.
Yeah.
That's helpful.
Go ahead, Sheila.
when the day comes, I was saying I'll bring a photo and then you all give me your opinions on it, and then we can go and ask the Father what he's saying. And when we come back, we'll see if it's a win or a lose. And then we move forward.
Well, we might
That's a
need more
deal?
than a photo. You might have to bring him on here and we'll have to go through a question
Oh,
and
yeah.
answer process.
Yes, that's even better. That's what we're going to do.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and just jump back in for a little bit. Unless, again, if anybody's got anything else. All right. Well, Father, what else do you have for us? This has been a wonderful experience just to get to know one another a little bit more, things we normally wouldn't. But we need to go here. Definitely need to go here at times to get to know one another. What else do you have, Father?
I just see the Father smiling and laughing with us.
Hmm. Kind of get the sense that he was just pleased with us in our conversation and just hanging out and laughing and having a good time. Because it's not a waste of time. We're learning about one another.
I got the same too, that he was pleased and that we were peeling off layers.
I like that. That is good. Yeah, peeling off layers. Yeah, that's.
I just heard him say, "These are my children, and I'm so proud of them."
Mhm.
And he says, "I just really want you to be yourselves, who I created you to be." No matter where you are in your process.
I'm getting, don't be hard on yourself. Allow him to do this at his pace.
Good. Fathers, I I feel like he put this idea in my head. I'll just share it. I feel like we ought to find a game that can be played on Zoom that would help us get to know one another better. And I don't know what that would be, but that would be an interesting time.
Actually have one. I'll see if I can find it.
Oh, you've got one.
Charades. With our hands and our faces and
It would be fun because we would get to find out things about people.
All right, I don't know if you want to do the board game part where you walk around and stuff, but once you land on different things, there are 3 types of questions. One is called deep understanding, one is called lighthearted, tell it like it is, and the other is a Christian belief one. So, I mean, I can even give you an example. The first lighthearted one I turned over says, what TV or movie star would you like to invite to your birthday party? The deep understanding, the first one says, of all the material possessions you have, what do you enjoy the most? The Christian belief one, my goodness, some of them are just blank. I guess you can make stuff up. Huh, remember talking unless it's your turn. If you could, oh, I love this one. If you could give the person on your right a fruit of the spirit, which would you give? Love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, generosity, tolerance, faithfulness, or self-control. So that, like, yeah, I mean, obviously play the game now, but if you even want to do it with the board game, then I would be rolling the dice for each person. So yeah, it's called
Well,
and yes, it's a game to get to know each other. So you said, I want us to play a game to get to know each other. This game is designed for that very purpose.
well, how about this idea? I'll just throw it out there, but next time we come together, or this time, but you pull out just a handful of cards, maybe 6, and then one of us calls out the number in a row, whatever. Take the 3rd card, and you pull out the 3rd card, and that is our question for the day. Because otherwise, we could, I don't want to take up a whole lot of time, but it would be nice to learn a little bit about each other each time that we're on here. Anybody okay? Not okay with that? Is that like, nah, let's not do that? Or what's everyone think?
Let me give you my thoughts on that.
Okay.
Early on, when we started this meeting, this group, and I was asking Father, what were we all about? What were we going to do? He gave me something like what you just said, that, and what we just did. Actually, yeah, this is what how I understood it was that because I've been part of home groups for a while. I don't know. Our church, we had that home group structure, so I attended different ones. And of course, it always happened. A bigger church to 6 or 10 people in a house. It's a whole different dynamic. And we all knew each other, where we live, our families. We talked about our personal stuff, And then I'm thinking that would be great if we can have that in the Zoom group like this, because we've been focusing. This is a new group, of course, so we're focusing on the spiritual parts. And I'm thinking, but I don't even know, like, Martha just asked John, do you have any kids? And I go, yeah, we don't even know each other. And those kind of personal information. So I was just dialoguing with Father about this, and I go, well, how can we do that in a Zoom group? And then what I felt was that we had to do it intentionally. Like, if we choose to, it was totally a voluntary choice, that if you choose, we can just, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 people at each meeting, or I don't know, take 15 minutes, or however we're going to structure it as far as the time went. We could just, say, okay, like for example, me, okay, let's focus on Hadassah today. What do you want to share with us about yourself that we don't know anything about, or that you want to share besides the spiritual stuff, it's like, not everything's spiritual. I mean, so it's like, I feel like if we really want to know each other, we need to know us beyond our spirituality, life. If you want to call it that. I mean, are you married? Where do you live? Do you have kids? Do you work? Those kind of personal things. If you choose to share, this is again voluntary. It's not gonna be, you have to do it. But yeah, so that's what I thought. I was like, I need to share this with the group. I don't know how, how they feel about that. So
I'm right with you, Hadassah. I've actually thought that eventually we'll get to a place where, I'm going to use this term, but then I want to take it back. But who's on the hot seat this week? But it just means who are we going to focus on this week? And that person can be totally prepared. We might choose them the week before so that they know that when we come up the next week. I just know that could take, one person could take the whole 2 hours, which I'm good with. It just means that's 10 weeks of just getting to know one another. But I would say maybe we do one person and then we do engagement time, or we do engagement time and then we do one person, because I think the engagement time is pretty important.
Yeah, that would be great if we can do the engagement along with the. I mean, maybe 2 hours is too long. I don't know. I mean, that's not, something that we can talk about that. But the other thing that I also remember, I was, my conversation with Father was also to be open for questions. I mean, let's say, we didn't share something about ourselves. Well, are you willing to have people ask you specific things? Like maybe like just Martha just asked him if he didn't mention anything about his kids. Or do you have any kids? Anyway, so yeah, that would be great. I mean, because if we really want to get to know each other, there's a lot of things that we don't know about each other.
A lot.
Yeah, we're not really going to know each other. I mean, we're just going to go.
You only know the surface.
And this is what I was really focusing a lot more on. It was like, okay, here goes. I'm thinking, the church I was part of, or the church in general that I was part of for 30 years, most of it is all about spiritual things. It's like, we're not all spiritual. I mean, we have a body, we have a soul. Let's talk about the soul or the body. It's not all about, the spiritual thing. There's a lot more to us. So this is what I was coming from too. It's like, I don't want this group to be that. I want it to be really a personal thing. If we're really gonna go deep, if we're really gonna know each other in love, we have to go deeper than those spiritual things, spiritual matters. But I don't know. I don't even know where you are. I mean, all this other stuff.
Yeah.
So that was what I was.
I'm totally with you. And that's what I was saying about this group, is that we're trying something. I mean, I've never tried it in a group like this. And are we all willing to trudge through the figuring it out part? It's like, this ain't working. Or we get to, it's like, hey, this is cool. Let's do this for a while. And because I don't want to miss the engagement time, but I also really do want to get to know all of you. And I don't want it to always be trying to fix a problem in somebody. we should also just be having some fun. And so I kind of think that maybe we try one of those questions, maybe next week we'll try one of those questions just for everybody, and everybody try to keep it short, fairly short, so everybody gets a chance, and then we'll focus in on Hadassah.
No, really,
So I used to,
sure. I mean, let's just try different things,
Yeah.
because, this business about loving each other is gotta go deeper than just, oh, God bless you, I love you, see you next week. That's what I had on every Sunday,
Yep,
have a nice
yep.
week, I'll see you night. God bless
Yep.
you, I'm in victory,
Yep.
and you go home and you don't have anything to eat at home. But it's like you get in a divorce or whatever, all this other stuff people got. And I don't mean you have to go. I just mean, because we're in a Zoom meeting, we don't even know it. Where do you live? How is the city? You want to tell us about your city? What do you love about your city? What do you? So just beyond beyond the square and beyond just spiritual things. That was my thing. Yeah.
Good. I'm for it. So seriously, why don't we, I'll throw this out and tell me what you think. But next week when we come back, we do one of, Martha, you can have 3 cards. We'll pick one randomly, somebody will, and we go with that card and just go around. And then I don't know, do you think we would engage after that for a little bit, or do you think we go right into finding out something about the next person? I'm a believer that everything we do is divine and that we're always in the heavens. And I just think if we can be aware of that while we're doing some of the things we do, I definitely want to focus in on, engaging with Father at times, but I don't know that we have to do it all the time. That's getting kind of religious when we feel like that's the only thing we can do. Like Hadassah, it's like there's 3 parts of the body. It's not just spiritual. So other opinions, other thoughts, let me hear them. Go ahead, John.
like I used to tell people that God is just as interested in my golf game as he is in how I pray to him.
I don't know, John. No, I'm teasing. So, yes. No, you're right.
The way I talk to him, because I talk to him on the golf course.
Yeah, I mean, that's me. I talk to him at the gym and when I'm running. I love it.
If he's a God who cares 100% about me, he's put desires in my heart. He's created me a certain way. He knows I love to do sports. I've always loved to do sports. I've had my last year of school, I had like 6 first ribbons at a sports day and a second and a third. So I was good at that. So of course, I think God created me that way. So I have propensity to excel in that. So I think he's interested in what I'm interested in. And I'm interested in what he's interested in. It goes to both ways. So
very
there's
good.
nothing, I don't think there's anything off the table with him, because he's created as a whole human being, whole person.
Yeah.
Sure.
Good. Martha, what do
And
you
we
think?
need to get to know each other.
What's on
Martha,
the ping pong team, John?
Say that again?
I was on the college ping pong team.
Oh.
Awesome.
So you good with this, Martha?
Oh, totally.
All right. Susan.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. Even today, I was thinking that I don't even know what you guys do for most of your day, or if you work or not. And I was thinking, yeah, it'd be good to get to know you better. So yeah, I definitely agree. The next 3, maybe 4 weeks, though, I'm not going to be around because I'm on holidays. So I don't know, maybe you could put like the one question that we're all answering maybe on the Telegram or something, and I can try and answer that, so I'm kind of still included. But I will be listening to the recording.
That's a good idea right there, Susan. Martha, tell me, and again, you guys can shoot it down, but I'm just thinking, Martha, why don't you pick a question and once a week put it on Telegram, and that way we can do that part on Telegram. That's what I love about Telegram, is it's very conversational, and you could put it up there and just say, hey, this is the question for the week, and everybody gets to answer it to whatever level you want to answer it, and we get to learn that way about each other. Is anybody not on there? Yeah, no, everybody's on there. No, if anybody's not on there, let me know, but I think I've seen all your names on there. Okay.
So
Cool.
we're going to be answering the question on Telegram.
I think those questions we could do there.
Also, we're going to have questions on Telegram and then questions here on the group.
Yeah, that way, because I'm thinking it's going to take a long time. It's going to be really slow doing it, just once a week here, when we could put it there, and then when we've all answered it, we can say, all right, Martha, next question, and we're going to learn things about each other that way. And if you don't like typing, I don't know if you've used voice to text very much, but I use it all the time. And so what do you think, Hadassah? Are you hesitant on that?
No, I was just wondering. I mean, this is something new that just, no, it's fine. I mean, let's be open to try different things,
Yeah.
and if they don't work, let's be open to stop it. I mean, not because we started something, it's like if people not doing it, if they're not participating. I use voice to record all the time, the voice, what do you call that thing?
Whatever you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I like to hear the people. I mean, come on, guys, Sheila, Susan.
Yeah.
Let's what are your thoughts?
I love it. Although I'm sorry, I'm not usually good with texting. I'm really not good with texting. I'm sorry. But I will try. I will try. This one I'll be intentional with it. Yeah, I'm for it.
And we'll all be hounding you to do your part when we've got everybody else's answers.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Liz, go ahead.
I also think it's a good idea, and I want to add some spanner to the works. On the week we are focusing on someone, for example, next week we are focusing on Hadassah. We can play a game. It's called 2 Truths and a Lie. So since we want to get to know Hadassah, she can tell us 2 truths about herself and 1 lie. And then we go around guessing which is the truth, which is the lie. Then when we begin to talk about her, it becomes more fun.
I like that. Is that okay?
Wow. Yeah, see how creative? If we all put our 2 cents in it, we can be so creative, participation of everybody. It has to happen. Otherwise, we can't have just 2 people talking all the time, 3 people. It takes everybody. So yeah, love that. Let's do it.
Me too.
I'm just sorry that the other ones that are missing. Who's missing? I mean, Diane, Kamal,
Marilee, and Diane.
And what about Linda? I think Linda is part of the group. Or what,
I don't know
right?
if she's actually going to come. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay.
But I put the invitation out to her.
Yeah, we saw it.
Yeah. So I'm not going to push because I think for this to work, we really do need to be committed to being here as much as we can. And
True.
So and especially letting us know, like Susan has, and Marilee and Kamal today all let us know that they're either not going to be here today or not going to be here, a few times through the week. So that's going to be the case for all of us. And I just encourage, if you can, watch the video so you don't get left behind in some stuff, or because you're going to miss out on 2 or 3 people while you're gone, Susan, sharing their story. And so if you can, it'd be good for you to be able to pop in or watch the video anyway. And it'll be on Telegram, where everything should be a whole lot easier to get access to it on Telegram.
So the recordings will be able to be pulled out on Telegram?
Yeah. Yeah, well, there'll be a link to Facebook. We keep them in Facebook as unlisted, so nobody else watches them except us.
Mhm.
Yeah, the other point that, it's that we do want to do everything from the heavenly realms. I mean, it's like, so, engaging to me is like a must on each of the meeting, whether you're having somebody, on a hot seat or playing the game or, I think that's what I'm here for. I want to learn
Yeah.
how to go to the heavenly realms. So best place to do it is here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's other places, but this is one of the good places to do that. So we can focus on doing that either, whenever, the beginning, the end, the middle, whatever, but just know that we're going to be doing that during
Yeah.
the Zoom meeting.
Well, and I really want to encourage all of you to be more spontaneous, so to speak, in the sense of if you're sensing something, it's like even right now, it's like if you were sensing, it's like I really feel like we just need to go engage with the Father right now. And that you can do that. It doesn't have to be me, that any one of you could. I would love to know that you feel comfortable sharing what you feel like Father's downloading to you, and that you could say it, or either you could say, let's just go engage. Let's switch gears. Just knowing that your thought, your opinion, your heart that you just shared is your thought, your opinion, and your heart, and the rest of the group may not be there. And just to not, that's where we can learn to love and respond well. It's like, hey, I think we should go engage with the Father right now. And everybody else is like, no, what we're doing right now is really important. Let's keep this going. And that we learn to love each other so well that can happen and nobody's offended. Even the one that brings it up is not offended. It's just like, oh, okay, we're gonna go with where the group's going, and that's all right. And then that we would all be sensitive to maybe the group does feel like we should be going one way, but the one person has spoken up, and we're like, but let's go with that for now. Let's just go with that one person and what they're feeling for whatever reason feels right to do that.
And along with that, I would say that we also have to be sensitive because we don't want to take control of the meeting every time we say something.
So good.
We have to be conscientious of that. We're not the one person speaking only. I mean, there's 9 of us. In the group, it's 11. Well, actually, with Samantha, we're 11. So there's 10 of us in the group. So we really, really, really have to grow in, sensitivity of letting other people speak and not take over the whole meeting time, or most of the time. Or you know what I mean? I mean, just be sensitive to other people. To grow up.
So good. I mean, there's so many. Susan, did you have your hand up? Oh, see, I'm always watching for Susan's hand because she doesn't say a whole lot very much unless I ask her to. And I thought her hand went up like, Susan. Okay. Well, this has been really good. I'm excited. And I don't know about the rest of you, but I feel a little bit more footloose and free, and let's just have fun and go deep.
I have a question.
Okay.
So when we go ascend, ask with the Father, saying, how do we discern whether it's a Father or whether it's me?
And that's a good question.
You have thoughts that go through your head. Is that just my thought, or is it just something that the Holy Spirit has popped into my mind?
And I'll just say I've been in groups where there have definitely been people that were just speaking out of their own agenda. And it seems, for me, it seems a little obvious when that's happening, but doesn't mean, anyway, we're all going to make mistakes, and we're all going to do
I'm
some
just
of that.
learning this whole deal of
yeah. Again, we're all
doing it verbally.
mistakes.
Like when I'm writing and journaling and listening, I just go with the flow, whatever comes to mind, like the spontaneous thoughts that, like,
and I think you're good at that.
says, spontaneous thoughts that come up.
Yeah,
that's
you're good at that.
what the voice of God sounds like.
Yeah,
that's kind of how I.
Yeah, and I think what happens sometimes is the Bible even says that we'll make idols in our own heart that get in the way of what God's doing, and we'll start making our own agenda and trying to take things in a way that we feel like something is important to us. That is likely to happen, and it doesn't mean that that person is just a selfish, person doing their own thing. No, it probably means that person's got something really on their heart right now, and yeah, it may be becoming an idol in their heart. But for the rest of us, hopefully we can have grace and mercy,
And love.
and love, and be able to, maybe listen to the Father to see what we should do as a group, because maybe we need to go down that road with that person for that season, that moment, in order to help them deal with whatever it is they're dealing with. And I hope that we can get to a place of comfort where we can even, where in love, you might be able to say to somebody, hey, I'm really frustrated with the amount of talking you're doing. I would like it if other people got to share more. And I just feel like you're talking too much today. And you know what? That's going to come in on each and every one of us at different times, because I know today I feel like I've talked quite a bit. And, and so for someone just to say, hey, let other people do some talking. Like, okay.
The thing is, we have that electronic hand. If people don't put up their hand, then
yeah,
who can you blame? You can't blame the person that's talking. If somebody's talking a lot, you should put up your hand if you want to say something, right?
It's not always getting the hand up, it's actually taking it down. So, I mean, we talked about kind of monitoring ourselves, and we probably really need to do that. Each one of us, maybe keep your own timer, just for the sake of time and honoring one another, that we would put a timer there and push the button and just, because I really want to hear Liz and Sheila and Susan talk more.
So
Sheila gets going, she can talk a fair amount.
So we won't say very much, and then they're forced to put their hand up.
But we have the hand, yes, John, but people talk without even the hand. I mean, you just have it on. I mean, we just have it on. People keep talking. The whole, I mean,
Well,
it's like that's
you can
not
put your
honoring
hand
people.
up, and then we could stop talking.
Excuse me. So that's not honoring people. I mean, people talk without putting their hand up, and even interrupting other people. That to me is not honoring, really. So we just have to be more sensitive about that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this is where we all get to work on that. And we all need to work on it together. And so we will grow together. We will continue to grow.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will.
Yeah. Well, and we don't have to go the full 2 hours this time, unless somebody's got something else they really got to get off their chest or say, but we can go ahead and wrap it up if everyone's good. I think it's been a really good session to open some things up.
Yes.
And we're going to miss you, Susan. So next 4 weeks, huh?
Well, next 3 weeks, maybe 4. Yeah. Next week, I don't think I'm going to have much signal at all during the week, so I don't think I'll be able to connect. And then the following 2 weeks, I'm overseas on holiday. So
are you going traveling?
Yeah. I'm going with my family, with my dad and my sister and her partner, to Iceland on a tour around the island.
Nice.
So I'm not sure what the time difference will be. So we'll see about that.
If it works out, you're sitting around, you got nothing to do.
I'll keep you in mind. Yeah.
You can tune in from the hot springs.
Yeah.
Well, have a good time, and hey, post some pictures on Telegram.
Yeah, sure, I will.
Yeah, that's a way that we can all get to know each other too, is share what you're doing, share your family, share things that are going on, that would be good.
I was thinking of posting some pictures of my surroundings here where we live.
Yeah. Actually, that would be interesting. Do a little video
Yeah.
where you live and what's
Yeah.
outside your house. And
That's what I was thinking, let's share where we live. Let's talk about our city so we can get
Okay.
an idea of what the surroundings look like. We'd like to get pictures from Kenya, where you guys live, Liz and Sheila. That would be great. So anyway.
love it. Well, I hope everybody watches this. I'll put something in Telegram to encourage everyone to watch this one, because we got some instructions going on. And Martha, you're in charge of those questions, okay? All right. All
She'll be
right.
on it.
Well, this has been good. Love you guys. And,
Bye-bye.
we will see you next week, except Susan. But we'll see you in pictures that you're going to post.
Yeah.
All right. Love you all. Take care.
Love you. Love you.
Bye-bye.